I said, while at the same time thinking through the actual logistics of visiting Maria on her last day of school. It wasn't impossible, since we were living in a different state that usually had different dates for the beginning and ending of holidays. I could come over to Michel while Maria's holidays had yet to begin. Are we the only ones attending your birthday party today? Kai asked suddenly, a little perplexed. He then realized that he, just like Louise and I, was still holding his parcel for Maria. We passed them to her alongside with a cheerful happy birthday. She thanked us, but instead of opening them, deposited the parcels onto her birthday table. I won't look at them just yet, if that's okay with you, she said. It's so I can enjoy the pretty wrappings a little longer. Then she shook her head. No, we're alone here. I invited two more friends of mine, but they both called to cancel just this morning. One of them had terrible diarrhea because she'd eaten from an expired ice cream carton, and the other's grounded because she almost burned down her father's entire workshop playing with matches. I kept quiet. There was nothing worse than inviting someone to your party and having them not show up. I felt a little like we'd just come as a replacement friend, when I remembered that she'd already invited us yesterday, when she had no way of knowing that her other friends wouldn't be able to make it. She really seemed a little distraught. But then she walked over to a large wicker basket that had been covered with a small blanket, pulling it away and saying, "On the bright side," the blanket disappeared, leaving the contents of the wicker basket for all to see. "We get to eat all this puffed rice for ourselves." And really there were at least 20 or even more colorful packets stacked inside a large basket. "It's my favorite type of candy, I have to admit. I'm a little obsessed," she grinned sheepishly, and we all looked at her, flabbergasted. Because sure, we all liked puffed rice, but we were usually satisfied and a little sick of it after eating all the yellow and green puffs from a single packet. "Don't worry," she smiled again, after taking in our dumbfounded and slightly disappointed expressions, and pulled another blanket from her desk. This one revealed an array of Neverland bottles, a large plate with chocolate marshmallows of all colors and toppings. There was a bowl filled with gummy bears, a plate full of Mars chocolate bars, a marble cake whose smell I can only describe as heavenly, a whole stack of homemade waffles covered in powdered sugar, some popcorn and crisps, and last but not least a bowl of red shining apples, so we wouldn't be stuffing ourselves with unhealthy food only. Yes, this buffet catered to our taste a little better than a lone basket full of puffed rice. Soon we started chewing, crunching, licking, and snacking, all while exploring the small pile of Maria's other presents. There was a Bible for children with all the expected colorful illustrations of biblical stories, a book on cave systems and one about archaeology, a massive atlas, a pair of new pants, a dress shirt, and a new set of shoes. Almost not a single movie or audiobook, the way it would have been had I visited, for example, Kai on his birthday. It was strange, and I asked her about it. "Oh, we don't watch a lot of TV in this household," said Maria, and I almost felt a little sad for her, because I loved watching a good film every now and then. My mom says there's enough horrible things happening in the real world, so what's the point looking at more horrible things in the fake world? That's just double or even worse the amount of nightmarish scenes burned into your memory, or even all the way into your actual nightmares. But there's nice movies without horrible things too. "Sure," said Maria, "but the experience of looking at the forest at your doorstep is far superior to the one observing the forest through a stream. Or if those movies are about friendship, you should go out and have adventures with your actual friends, instead of only experiencing them in front of the TV. Mom says that if you watch too much TV, you run at risk of forgetting the real world." That was a strange point if I'd ever seen one. I liked watching TV, not everything, but I'd rarely pass on a good or funny motion picture or an informative nature documentary. I felt a little uncomfortable at the insinuation that merely enjoying a story on a screen made you miss out on the real life. And while I stared off into the distance, I noticed two further unopened presents on her birthday desk, an envelope and a slightly elongated parcel. "Why haven't you opened those yet?" Maria's cheerful expression fell and clouded with conflicting emotion. "Well, I have to admit those are from two people that I don't particularly like. The envelope's a present from a school friend. She always makes fun of me, most often because me and my mom are so religious, and the parcel, that's a gift from my dad." I had a small "oh" moment, because I realized that I hadn't heard about Maria's father at all until now. "My parents are divorced," she continued her explanation. I nodded in sympathy, because she'd been dealt the same unfortunate fate as I. "And well, my father wants me to live with him, not just on the weekends every 2 weeks, but permanently, even though every time I visit him it's deadly dull. He barely talks to me and we never do anything together. He doesn't even have a room for me, but he's been threatening to forcibly keep me there whenever I come over to his house. It's been going on for a week, so I decided that I don't want to visit him anymore. Mom's currently trying to sort out the legal side of things, but I still feel scared whenever I see him. She offered us a plate with chocolate marshmallows to distract from the desired topic and tradition into a more pleasant one. Being the polite and accommodating party guests that we didn't say no and took a few chocolate marshmallows each. It shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone that Kai turned out to be the politest and most accommodating of the three of us. Chapter 11, in which we ship out without touching a single drop of water. It wasn't long until Maria's birthday buffet had been severely diminished and we all direly longed for some physical activity. The meadow up the hill is still part of our property, she said. We can hike all the way up to the crest of the mountain. Up there's a lot of sticks and stones that we can use to build something with. Do you guys have a workshop or something like that? I wanted to know, and Maria nodded. I appreciated that she didn't unnecessarily ask what on earth I needed a workshop for, before showing us the small tool shed at the back of the house.